All right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report. The discussion starts right now. We are calling it the Weather Report. My guests are with me. Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, the CS for Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs, is joining us from Mombasa. Thanks for making time. Dr. Ahmed Idris, Secretary General, Kenya Red Cross Society, is with me in studio. Thanks for making time. And Edward Murioki, Acting Director, Kenya Meteorological Department. Thank you for making time. And Waziri, I'll start with you on this. So what is the latest when it comes to the drought intervention that you're currently facing? How much food has been distributed? How much is pending?
Trevor, thank you. We are putting a lot of effort as far as distribution of food is concerned across all the 23 counties which are semi-arid and arid counties, and also other counties which have been affected by drought. At the moment, I've been in Kilifi, and tomorrow I'll be in Kware, to ensure that last mile distribution of food is achieved by government. We are putting all necessary effort as a government, not only the distribution of food for people, for Kenyans, but also we are ensuring there is a distribution of animal feed, as well as distribution of fortified flour for porridge, especially for children and for the mothers who are breastfeeding. And also, we have ensured cash transfer is done in many counties, in arid counties, and so far the government has done about 788 million Kenyan shilling in terms of cash transfer, and every household is getting 2,700. A lot of effort is being done, concerted effort, and I'm happy to see my friend from Red Cross is there, not only from the government side, but also from the county government side, national government side, and non-governmental organization.
Okay, Waziri, so 788 million has been transferred to people as cash transfer, but how much in terms of food has been distributed? How many tons, how many metric tons of food, and for how many households?
Trevor, in total, we have done huge amount of tonnage, more than 2 million bags of rice and beans to different counties. That's a huge amount of food. If you multiply that, Trevor, times 50 kgs, you can see we are talking more than 10 million of food that has been distributed across different counties. And it's important to mention, Trevor, that we started as a government distributing this food in mass from the month of July last year to now, because even when there is no accelerated drought, government of Kenya distributes food in 23 ASAR counties on a monthly basis. But when the report started coming in from National Drought Management Authority that we are likely to have a shortage of food in a number of households in different counties, in month of July last year, we started mass distribution of food in a number of counties, especially those arid and semi-arid areas.
How much more food is needed, and how much do you have?
Trevor, we have enough food as a government. We have enough food for all the counties which are affected. Every single day, Trevor, there are lorries which are traversing different counties in Kenya in the effort of achieving last mile distribution of food. Tomorrow, I will be in Matuga constituency in Kwale County to ensure every household which is lacking food is able to get food. We have to, as a government, we have the effort to have the last mile, because sometimes what has been a problem in previous times is that food gets in counties, but it does not reach in the very interior sections of the counties. And for us to achieve last mile, in the month of January, 26th January, I gazetted drought management committees in 23 counties, just to ensure we are getting in more people getting involved in this process, not only the what we call provincial administration, that is the county commissioner, deputy county commissioners, chiefs and assistant chiefs, our leaders who are elected MCAs and members of parliament, but also we gazette other people within the county to ensure they are involved in ensuring that we have animal feed getting to the rust point, as well as food for people getting to the deep interiors in all the corners of our villages, and also ensuring the targeted household in terms of cash transfer is getting to the targeted household, and also to ensure that we have animal feed, which is also getting to where animals are, instead of taking animal feed to the county headquarters or sub-county headquarters. We get this food directly into where the animals are.
All right, stay with me, Waziri. Let me bring in Muriuki on this. Muriuki, and right now as we're speaking, we are dealing with the drought in the ASAL areas. Is there potential for floods now that the onset of rains are seemingly here with us? And what weather phenomenon are we experiencing now?
Thank you, Trevor. Good evening, viewers. Currently, the country is in transition to the March, April, May season. Kenya experiences two major seasons, March, April, May, and then October, November, and December. These seasons are mainly driven by the intertropical convergence zone. This is a belt of low pressures that move in harmony with the overhead sun. So currently we are into the March, April, May season. But in the past 2 weeks, we have experienced some off-season rains that have been occasioned by a tropical disturbance that moves in an easterly direction known as Madden-Julian oscillation. This oscillation was discovered by some two scientists in 1971 by the name Madden and Julian, and hence the name. It has two main phases, one where it suppresses the rainfall and one where it enhances. So in the last 2 weeks, it has enhanced our rainfall. But currently, just allow me to give you a snapshot of where we are on a county by county basis. As I have said, the off-season rains began in mid-February, and they have already met the onset criteria. I have been receiving questions on whether the rains have begun. And earlier than expected. Yes, and by definition, an onset is said to occur when we have received in an area 20 millimeters of rainfall within 3 days, followed by a dry spell not lasting longer than 7 days. So in the areas where we are receiving this rainfall, this criteria has been met.
So we have the early onset of rain.
Yes. So in counties in the highlands west of the Rift Valley, Lake Victoria Basin, Central and South Rift Valley, I'll break this down because we normally lump these areas together because they demonstrate the same weather characteristics. So in these counties, we have Bungoma, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Nandi, Kakamega, Vihiga, Bomet, Kericho, Kisii, Nyamira, Homa Bay, Migori, Kisumu, and Busia, Baringo, Nakuru, Western Laikipia, and Narok. Here, the onset criteria was met in mid-February, and the season began early. Similarly, in the highlands east of the Rift Valley, including Nairobi County, here we have Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Embu, Meru, Kiambu, Nyandarua, Nairobi, and eastern Laikipia. Similarly, the onset criteria was met in mid-February, and the season began early. In the southeastern lowlands, here we have Kajiado, Kitui, Makueni, Machakos, Tana River, and Taita Taveta. The onset criteria was met in the 4th week of February, but a slight reduction of rainfall is expected from mid-March to 1st week of April. In the north coastal area, here we have Lamu, Malindi, coastal parts of Tana River and Kilifi, the onset is expected on the 4th of March all the way to 1st of April. But intermittent rainfall was received in rainfall, and the same is expected in March. Now, in the ASAL areas, which have been an area of concern, this is Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Isiolo, Turkana, and Samburu. The onset is expected in the first week to second week of April, but intermittent rains are likely to be experienced beginning this month. Actually, as we speak, some of these areas are receiving some rainfall. Okay. But remember, this area has suffered from failed consecutive rainfall seasons. All the way from 2024, then October, November, December last year. Yeah. Yes, so they are hard hit.
So is it accurate to say that more than 31 counties are facing potential flash floods?
According to our forecast, the areas that are expected to receive heavy rainfall are 22 counties, the Lake Victoria Basin, the Rift Valley, and the highlands east of the Rift Valley.
So and 22 counties are facing possible floods.
Yes.
And right now, 23 counties are facing drought.
Yes. But it's good to clarify that heavy rainfall does not necessarily translate to flooding, because other dynamics come into play. Because drainage is one of the challenges that we see in urban areas. And if actually we would take care of our environment in a better way, if we would stop littering, because once you litter, that litter eventually finds its way into the drainage channels. Mm-hmm. So choking of our drainage channels is what might at times cause flooding, in as much as heavy rainfall is a trigger for flooding.
Okay. Yes. And Idris, let me bring in on this. We've always had these early warnings, and somehow communities still are found unprepared when the time comes. Mm. Is it the language? Is it the dissemination of that communication? Because even now, the director says that 22 counties are potentially going to face floods, but it's not a guarantee. Yeah. Is that the reason why then people are somehow nonchalant about it and we are all caught flat-foot? Yeah.
So before I answer that question, just to continue from where my colleague, the director for Kenya Met, left it off. First, it is becoming extremely common to see one extreme weather event overlapping with another. I think this is one of the most classic signs of the impacts of climate change, and that's what we're experiencing right now. The second thing is, what we have to remember is some of these counties that are likely to be affected by floods are the same counties that are facing drought, so they're not different counties entirely. So we have among the counties of concern, as Kenya Met put it, Tana River, Marsabit, Samburu, and so forth. And we need to understand what happens for us to say there is risk of flooding. As the ground gets dry and the soil gets compacted because of prolonged period of dryness, then as the rain falls, instead of the soil absorbing the moisture, there is a higher chance of water runoff, and that is what causes flash floods. So that phenomenon of flash floods really is caused by the situation on the ground and not necessarily the rainfall. So in some context, when the soil is good, 10 millimeter rainfall might not cause flood. But in other situations, when the soil is extremely compact and it's dry, 10 mm can be disastrous. So that's what we are experiencing. We're experiencing counties that are experiencing the drought, but right now are going through flash floods. So, and that is likely to continue. But I'll come to your question on the language. Yes, I think this is a discussion we've had with Kenya Met continuously, and we've worked together around how to make the language, communicating language to the final users more friendly. What we have to remember is Kenya Met are scientists who do forecast. They therefore have to give language that meets the standard of a weather forecast. I think it is many of us who have to translate that information into what is acceptable. And we've been trying out. I give you an example. Right now, every notice that we receive from Kenya Met, similar to the one that has just been released of a heavy rainfall advisory, we translate that into easy communication for the people. So we send actually text messages in collaboration with Safaricom and Airtel to phone users around those areas that are affected with very simple messaging. Your area is likely to experience a flood, exercise caution. For those who are in low-lying areas, please move to higher areas. There might be a problem around translation of the scientific knowledge into a common man's language. Yeah. But there is also a problem around just taking advice as a whole. We've had serious conversations where we're having discussions with communities to say, can we please move to higher grounds? And the response is one of lack of cooperation. So we have a cooperation.
Lack of cooperation or lack of a space to go to? Because many people ask,
so
if I live here, this is my only land, where do I go up?
True, and I think that's a genuine one. And overall, as a country, we have to develop a more clear pathways and protocols around evacuation, where the high areas that we need to evacuate individuals. So that is one element of it. But to be honest, from an experience as an institution, we also have the outright lack of cooperation. We have people who make statements including saying, you're not gods, you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. So I think there's a combined level of work that we have to do. We have to do work around simplifying the language. We have to do work around protocols that define where the areas of evacuation. We have to do also a lot of community engagement, and then we just have to, as a people, take advice as it's given.
Yeah, let me bring back Miruki on this before I bring in Waziri on this conversation. Which are those 22 counties that are facing potential floods? I see you have the list there. And then give us an update of what that heavy rainfall advisory says.
Okay. Yeah, the 22 counties expected to experience heavy rainfall, which may lead to potential flooding, are Kisumu, Siaya, Busia, Migori, Homa Bay, Kisii, Nyamira, Kakamega, Bungoma, and Vihiga. In the Rift Valley, we have Nakuru, Baringo, Kericho, Bomet, and Nakuru. In the highlands east of the Rift Valley, we have, including Nairobi, we have Nairobi, of course, Kiambu, Nyeri, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Embu, and Meru. Okay. On the heavy, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. Just finish that.
Okay. Yeah, on the heavy rainfall advisory, we issued the first advisory on the 20th of February 2026. We normally do this when we expect heavy rainfall. This is a receipt of more than 25 millimeters within 24 hours. 20. And this was realized in most of the areas that we had projected. Then we also gave an update last week. And from the look of things, this heavy rainfall is likely to continue. We are also seeing the northwestern area and the northeastern picking up. We are going to issue an update on this tomorrow when this one expires.
So tomorrow you're giving another update?
Yes, we'll give another update.
Do we know when this heavy rainfall is going to start, or is starting in different places?
We'll give the details in the update.
Okay.
Yes, but the areas that have been receiving will continue receiving, but now we have inclusion of some other areas.
Okay, so anything more than 20 ml is considered heavy rainfall?
Yes, within 24 hours. Yes.
Okay. Idris, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, so we're not talking about areas that are likely to experience floods. We're already experiencing. So Migori and Kisumu, we have initial displacement, and this is around the phenomena of the rising lake. So it has always been, now the last couple of years, these areas, any small rainfall, the lake expands. So we already have some displacements happening. So it's not a hypothetical when it will happen. It's
already happening as you speak. Yeah. Let me bring in Honorable Ruku on this. Waziri, are we ready for that transition? Because Miruki is telling us here that 22 counties are most likely going to face heavy rainfall and potential floods. You're dealing with 23 counties.
Yes, Trevor, we have enough non-food items as government which can support household in case of flooding. We have many mattresses, we have many blankets, we have many tents, we have many cooking utensils, we have many iron sheets as a government, and we are ready to support households or families who are likely to be affected by flooding. But this is not to say that household or people who are likely to be affected not to take caution. We are asking as government, because the weatherman has highlighted many counties which are likely to be facing flooding very soon, to take caution and ensure that they are also getting prepared, and those who are staying in areas which we are likely to have flooding. For instance, in Tana River, government has relocated a number of villages and settled all those villages in a common place, and government has built many houses. In Tana River also, we are yet to build about 100 houses which are remaining, but we have built more than 500 houses in Tana River, just to make sure that the cycle of flooding again and again, getting household and people and families displaced and having nowhere to sleep, having nowhere children to go to school, is a thing of the past. So these are the measures which we have already taken as a government. In our stores, we have enough supplies just in case that there is massive flooding. Therefore, we are prepared on both sides of drought as well as flooding. Also, we have equipment ready in case of flooding and they require mobilization. We have quite a number of equipment with the NOS. Also, especially NOS, which is a standby force which can be used in case of emergencies. And the State Department for a special program works hand in hand with National Youth Service. Yeah. And if you look at the Executive Order number 1 of 2025, President William Ruto is clear in terms of how special programs should coordinate matters very closely with National Youth Service. Yeah. Therefore, we are ready as far as flooding is concerned. The effort for taking care of drought, also we are continuing with those efforts. So I can say that with confidence, the government of Kenya is indeed prepared. In case of flooding, is indeed prepared to continue tackling drought.
Waziri, that coordination is where the problem is. Why can't you be proactive instead of reactive? We already know now that 22 counties are going to face possible floods. Why don't you move those people in advance and find them alternative places rather than wait for the floods and then give them iron sheets and bed sheets?
Trevor, all those items I have said, we are not going somewhere to buy them when the flood starts. We have the items in our stores, and we cannot start saying, Trevor, because there's likely to be floods in, let's say, in Kisumu. We take all the items in Kisumu. Remember, government works in a very systematic manner, Trevor, in case there is, and we are talking about probability. And if you listen to the weatherman, they have always a way of talking about the likelihood, the probability. So we are standby as a government to ensure in case of flooding in Kisumu, in case of flooding in Tana River, another part of the country, we will act swiftly with the required items or whatever the families need. And where roads have been blocked, where it needs excavation or ensuring that the movement of people is not curtailed, government equipment will be there in good time to ensure the normal way of living in this part of country, in different counties, they will not be tampered, they will not be hindered. We are well prepared as a government, as a ministry.
Waziri, are you seeing the gap when you say that you still have all those things that are for intervention, but you're waiting to see whether it actually happens or not because it's a balance of probability? Why don't you map out the areas that are most likely going to be affected and move those people in advance?
Trevor, we know where where we are likely to have fronts. For instance, if you talk about Trans Nzoia and the lower belts of Bundarangi, a lot has been done over the years to take care of fronting. It is used to be year in, year out, people are crying to government to be assisted. But a lot of work has been done as far as working on dikes, ensuring that even if the River Nzoia break its banks, it will not really affect the house in a bigger manner. So we cannot go with that direction, Trevor, you are saying at the moment, because we are on standby. We are on standby, and the response time, it will be swift, quickly, and enough to ensure that no family will lose its livelihood, no Kenyan will lose his or her life because of the flooding.
Okay.
Just as we have ensured that there's no Kenyans who have lost his life or arrived out of drought or hunger, we have sustained distribution of food across all the counties which are facing hunger. And we have ensured no death which has been recorded in any part of this country because of hunger. We are committing to Kenyans that no life will be lost because of flood.
Okay.
No Kenyan will be hampered on the way you carry out on your day-to-day activities.
Okay.
Because government is prepared. We have enough items. We are ready. We are on standby. National Youth Service has enough equipment and machinery to be where help is needed as quickly as possible.
Waziri, what is the estimated budget for the drought intervention and the estimated budget for the floods situation, if it appears?
At the moment, Trevor, government has spent 9 billion Kenyan shilling in drought intervention. We are likely to go to 13 billion Kenyan shilling as far as drought interventions are concerned. That is a huge amount of money, Trevor, coming from the budget of the Republic of Kenya. And also, as far as flood is concerned, we have budgeted 1 billion Kenyan shillings so far, just in case we get massive flooding. But we hope that we may not be at that level. But in case if there is massive flooding, President William Ruto is committed and his government is committed to ensuring that no resources will be spared to ensure Kenyans are not, their lives are not, they are not losing their lives, and the day-to-day activities they carry out are not interfered with.
Okay, let me get back to studio here now.
Through the commitment of the president and his government, that in case of floods, the government will go out of its way to ensure resources are mobilized as quickly as possible, just the way resources have been mobilized to take care of the drought, something which has not been happening in the past years.
All right, let me bring in
During Uhuru Kenyatta administration and Mwai Kibaki administrations, that kind of resource mobilization was not there.
Okay. Stay with me, Waziri. We'll be back with you in just a short while. But Idris, is this where our problem really is? That the predictions being made by the weatherman are dealt with like a balance of probability, so that nobody really focuses on it until it actually happens.
Yeah, the science of focus is a probabilistic science. It's not a deterministic one, meaning that, in fact, if you read the forecasts that are given, it is a specific percentage of likelihood of an incident happening. But what that means for us as an institution, because I can talk about how the Kenya Red Cross deals with this information, is we have an advanced protocol around drought and floods that is linked to weather forecasts. So our protocols have determined when we get an indication of a certain chance of an event happening, then what do we do next? And our orientation is to be more on the caution side, meaning that, for example, now if there is a likelihood of flooding, we assume it is going to flood. And these kind of interventions that we engage in early on are what we call for us zero loss intervention. So, for example, we move certain response materials earlier to potentially the areas that are going to be affected. And if it is not, we're not going to have floods, we know how to take it back. There's a cost element to it, but the cost of not being prepared is much more. That has been our approach as an institution. So when we launched our appeal in October, we launched a complex appeal. We did not launch a drought appeal. We launched a complex emergency appeal that provided for possibility of a flooding situation, the drought, and possibility of also a disease outbreak. So this is what happens, Trevor. Every time we go through a prolonged period of drought or dry spell and it rains, chances of disease spread among animals and potentially also humans, diarrheal diseases, is very high. So we are preparing for that eventuality. I think these are no regret investments. It's something that all of us need to work on. The last couple of weeks, we've been having very intense engagement and planning with the Department of Special Programs under the CS and PS Ismail on what we do around reallocation of resources to meet new risks. So including some of the resources that are available for drought, how do we work with it to respond to new risks and new hazards such as flood? So it's extremely, to be honest, it's not a simple response of either or, do we do this, do we not do it? But it requires us to put the potential vulnerable population at the heart of that discussion, to err on the side of caution if we're to ever err, and to give a bit of focus on the information that we're receiving from Kenya Met. Then finally, we've always had a discussion for those of us who are in the sector of emergency response and Kenya Met colleagues around this particular season, the March, April, May. It's a complex season. It's one that has its own complications around focusing. So we have to continuously be flexible around the needs as and when information comes. So that is required on all of us to be as flexible as possible.
Yeah. And Muriuki, how accurate are your systems? And are you facing the same frustration that I seem to be grappling with here? That you give the warning, but there's no reaction, and then when things happen, they're like the weatherman didn't say anything.
Thanks, Trevor. I would say that our forecasts are pretty accurate nowadays. They are reliable, and they are useful, and they should be used.
Would you say 98%? 100%?
95 plus. Because look at where we are from when we used to be very general. Manyunyu ya hapa na pale. But now we've gone down to ward level, because we normally start off at regional level, at Greater Horn of Africa, where the 11 countries come together. We develop the forecast. Then we do it at national level. Then from the national level, it is downscaled to the county level. And at the counties, one is able to get what is expected even at the ward level. So I would say they are pretty accurate.
So 95% chance that this is going to happen?
Yes.
Okay, and there's a question here from one Ken Ouma. Ken Ouma sent in a question here asking you. He says that, let me bring that question so that you see it. Bring it up on the back so that we see. Say, hi, Trevor. You're having a very good topic there. I'm writing a thesis on how early warning is communicated and the impact to communities in Homa Bay. Ask the experts what they are doing to change perceptions and other cultural and social factors hindering response to such warnings by communities.
Thank you. And I'm glad that Ken Ouma, Ken Ouma is willing to do this. There is an initiative led by United Nations. It's known as Early Warning for All. It has 4 pillars. And the main aim of the Early Warning for All is to ensure that every person on earth is protected from hazardous water, weather, and climate events by the year 2027. Here in Kenya, we launched our roadmap in sometime last year, and we have different players, Red Cross, Communication Authority, Kenya Met Department, and what the Ken Ouma is talking about is capacity building, which comes and awareness. So I'm glad that he's doing this. We are also doing our part. We are partnering with other agencies to ensure that this information is relayed to the last mile. And now that I have this opportunity, we are also, during the National Climate Outlook Forum, we introduced sign language, which I see is also used here. And in Tana River last week, we, through the help of Wiser Project, we developed the Braille version of the seasonal outlook for Tana River. So we want to ensure that no one is left behind.
Okay.
Yes.
But do you have and I'd like Idris to also come in on this, the issue of cultural and social realities that make people create a sort of a perception to the warnings that they don't really heed to them.
Yeah.
Is this linked to the fact that ancestral land has connotations of grave sites and all that?
Yeah, there are two parts to the social cultural issues that we have to give a bit of attention. One is religion, and essentially the idea that only God determines when it will rain and when it will not. And I think most of the time we also forget that God also gives us the knowledge to be able to apply certain thinking and understand what the focus will look like. So we have to do a lot of work around these social cultural elements. And so Mr. Ouma has an interesting thesis, and I'm sure his data collection is going to be rich. The other cultural elements are around movement of people. So remember, it's one thing to communicate that you're going to face this risk. It is another to ponder and internalize the implication of having to move and the movement around ancestral land and so on. It's a deep question that we have to have a deep discussion on. So we're talking about temporary movement and also long-term movement. I think, and our view has been, there are areas in the country that are settled that, to be honest, it is not sustainable. And it's not sustainable that year in, year out, we have to respond to flooding situation. For the places where we can do infrastructure development to reduce the risk, well and good. But the areas where the cost of doing that is, close to impossible, I think at community level we have to have certain discussions. Finally, downscaling of weather information, applying specific focus to specific areas is something Kenya Met has done an excellent job in. By the way, you asked about how reliable the weather focus is for Kenya Met. And as an institution that is a recipient and consumer of this information, I can tell you it's relatively reliable, extremely reliable. What we have to do is, I think, also understand the language of focus on its own. So what we've been doing the last couple of years in collaboration with Kenya Met and a few other partners, for example, one of the projects that Wanakariuki mentioned, the Wiser project, is to look for mechanisms around how to simplify this language, engaging with communities to see what they will accept as early warning information, so that at the end of the day, we don't keep giving out information that is not useful to the beneficiaries or to the end user. So there is work to be done, and this work is to be done at multiple levels. Kenya Met have their part to do, which I'm sure they're doing. As organizations that are in the emergency response space and in early warning space, we have a lot to do to translate that information into acceptable meaningful messages. But at community level, all the opinion leaders have a lot of work to do with their communities to help them in understanding that this early warning information is for their benefit, and it does not serve anyone to be rejecting without good reason.
Okay. And I'd like to hear what your thoughts are, Mirioki, in terms of simplifying the language here, because many people say, critics say that your language is often too technical for ordinary Kenyans. Why hasn't this department simplified this messaging? And you're saying that you know the counties, you even know them up to the wards. But you still have conversations like highlands west of Rift Valley, Lake Victoria Basin, Rift Valley. Why don't you just say that this county in this ward is likely to face floods?
Well, we normally cluster counties together. Counties that have the same climatological zone. Counties that are likely to experience the same kind of weather. But if you went into the detail, those counties are normally listed. It's just that in the summary, because at times we may not have so much airtime, that's when we just summarize. Yes. Again, as Idrisi said, it's a technical discipline, and at times it's a bit difficult to translate directly. But what we are doing is we are working with communities, our county directors of meteorology who are doing a very good work in the counties are also in touch with the communities. Some have translated terminologies, weather terminologies, into the local languages. And we have seen an improvement in the uptake of our products and in the understanding. So we are trying to create more awareness because we realize weather information is important. And I'm glad that it's generating more and more interest and uptake day by day.
Now, have you formally advised the national government and the county administrations to prepare for evacuations, or that is not how far you go?
What we normally do, if you look at our seasonal forecasts, we have embraced what is known as core production. So we bring in different sectors, and these sectors come up with advisories. We have health experts on board, we have disaster management on board, we have people from the agriculture sector. So once we give them the likely scenario, then what they do is come up with advisories. So our forecasts normally, if you look at the end, at the back, you'll find that we have advisories at the back, which are generated by the experts, since we are not experts in that respective field. Yes.
All right, let me bring you some feedback. There's still a lot of feedback also here. Let's read one of them, bring them behind me here so that we see what you're saying. John Musang says, here in Eldoret, it's raining, but no floods. And to the counties experiencing floods, what measures does Kenya Red Cross take to help those affected by floods and also those affected by drought? This is directly to you, Idris.
Yeah, hiyo ni swali nyeti. Maybe before I answer the question, just to move on from as in where Bwana Kariuki left it, if you look at this heavy rainfall advisory, there are certain sections with, then there's a last section that says this message is addressed to, and then it lists a number of organizations and institutions that Kenya Met think it's relevant, they are relevant to consume this information and to take action. And every rainfall weather season, we host in collaboration with Kenya Met, this discussion of the various technical departments in government, non-governments, to look at what the implication is. To answer this question, okay, Kenya Met have said what they've said in scientific language. What does this mean for the various sectors? So a lot of work is going on in terms of working with the various government departments to translate this information into early action. But specifically the question for Kenya Red Cross, what do we do? As I indicated, for us first, we take early warning information extremely seriously. We translate this into our contingency plans and preparedness measures, which requires resources to be deployed where they're supposed to be deployed, communities to be given the right information around what they can do at community level to take action, and finally, and most importantly, to provide the kind of support, humanitarian support that they need from us. As I said earlier, the reason why as early as October we prepared for a potential flooding period under this March, April, May rainfall is part of that advocacy on behalf of communities to help communities prepare for such eventualities. So we continue to have the needs of the communities at heart, and we continue to work with the communities for early action intervention.
You called it a complex emergency. So how much are we looking at in terms of budgets? Because I think some times back you had mentioned that you needed about 6 billion.
Yeah, yes.
Was that just for the drought with combining the floods?
No, it
now,
is.
Or what?
It is a combined with the floods, and that was an initial appeal. And then we will look at how we revise that appeal based on the reality on the ground.
So as it stands now,
yeah,
it's at
6 billion. Remember, the Kenya Red Cross effort complements also what the government and county governments do. It is not meant to be the entire budget. It is certain elements that are critical to the work that we do as an institution in our auxiliary role to the public authorities. As the CS Ruku said, a heavy lifting is being done under the drought by government. Our budgets are supporting specific interventions that are unique to the work that we are doing as an institution, focusing on nutrition. In addition to Kenya Red Cross, we're also working with the humanitarian coordination teams under the leadership of the UN in Kenya, so that various development partners, international organizations, and other actors, support part of the work we do. And just to mention, there are some of the close partners that we have, both for the drought situation and the flood. A partner like UNICEF that has supported a lot of the interventions that we are undertaking in these counties, WFP, and so we will be going back to our partners to reassess the situation, and if there is need to launch a fresh appeal, we will be doing that.
All right. Let me bring in the feedbacks here. There's a question for Waziri earlier on. I think I saw one of them via SMS. Ask CS, why not dig water pans in those areas and take advantage of the rains, the runoff? Waziri.
Yes, Trevor, that's a good question. We are not only rehabilitating boreholes in arid and semi-arid counties, but also desilting the water pans. And we want to have a long-term solution as far as the issues of problems of water is concerned. And that's why the cabinet passed the formation or establishment of the National Infrastructure Fund. At the moment, National Assembly is going through the registration process of ensuring that the National Infrastructure Fund will be enacted into law, so that we can use this fund into building water projects. And water projects are very expensive. Many mega dams are required to be built across the country, and once they are built, the integration of that water into irrigation project as well as into household is also requires huge amounts of money. At the moment, Trevor, government is backing on desilting a number of dams, which are the dams which are in arid and semi-arid areas, and NDMA has resources to rehabilitate all the boreholes which are in arid and semi-arid areas. So it is critical to ensure water is available now and in future. And also, we have experienced some rains. I have seen there are some available water in some of these areas where we are ensuring people are not having the suffering which has been there. So we pray that the continuation of rain will do a good deed. It will ease a lot of pressure from the side of government. Okay. Because at the moment we have done serious heavy lifting as far as the drought is concerned, drought mitigation, as well as we have done some heavy lifting in preparation for France.
Waziri, there's another question for you here. Let me bring it out and bring it on screen from Arnold Maliba. He says, why does a government that predicts GDP growth to decimal points somehow fail to predict drought and floods when there is all the data available beforehand?
Trevor, the government has predicted the issues of France and the issues of drought. We have worked very closely with those two gentlemen there. They have been participating in government meetings all the way from last year to now. Some of these meetings have been chaired by the Deputy President, and I can confirm that the gentleman from the Meteorological Department has provided a lot of information to government. Red Cross, led by Idris, has also been there to support government effort, especially on the side of nutrition. And we have worked together as a team in getting information and taking the necessary actions to avert what would have been very severe or very severe consequences out of the drought.
Okay.
Trevor, let's call a spade a spade. Let's give it to government that so far we are almost coming to an end of the cycle of this drought, and no Kenyan that has been reported to have died out of anger, out of drought. That is a serious effort from the side of this administration.
Okay.
I think, and this is out of the information which you have been given by Meteorological Department, which you have been given by National Drought Management Authority, and taking actions as a team which are well guided, well targeted to ensure no life is lost. And that is the primary role of any government. And the government of President William Ruto is committed in protecting lives from all corners of the Republic of Kenya.
All right, we're running out of time here, but there's another feedback that we need to bring up. Then I'll take closing remarks from Muriuki and also Idris, and then finish up with Waziri. Kate Best says, sincerely speaking, the Met Department didn't update us on the onset of rains, especially in the North Rift. Most farmers have been caught off guard as they had not tilled the land for planting. Muriuki, is that true?
Thank you, Trevor, and thank you to that viewer. The science of prediction is projecting how the weather will be like tomorrow based on how it has been and how it is today. It is an applied science. It's based on computer-based mathematical models that try to simulate the atmosphere. The atmosphere is a very complex system. So in as much as you may try, you may not be able to simulate the atmosphere 100%. And some of these tropical disturbances are not able to predict at longer timescales. One example is the Madden-Julian oscillation, which has been a bit elusive as far as simulating is concerned, and also tropical depressions, which at times affect the weather.
So but how far in can you predict?
For this, we did immediately after we realized that this was going to hit. That's when we issued this. Okay. Yeah. So it was probably a week or so before.
So today is Monday. How far can you predict the weather? For next week, Monday, the other week, 2 weeks?
No, we can do 3 weeks.
We
can do 3 weeks. But what we are saying is, and Idrisi also mentioned, there are also some disturbances, some systems that are not we are not able to project at longer timescales.
Okay.
Yes.
So on average right now you're predicting at 1 week or 2 or 3?
No, we do 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
We do 3 weeks. 3 months.
3 months.
Yes. But that's why we always say that at the end of the forecast, we always say that this forecast this is always our disclaimer, because at time, this outlook should be used together with the 24-hour, 5-day, 7-day special forecast. So in the event that one is using this forecast, that's why we recommend that they should continually tune in so that they can get our regular updates.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that changes. Okay.
Yes.
You wanted to add something?
Yeah, so the closer it gets, the more reliable the forecast is. So the 7-day forecast is the most reliable. There is a 1-month forecast, which is also has a high level of reliability, and a 3-month that perhaps is lower reliability, but extremely also reliable. Yeah. But as I said, this season, March, April, May, has its own complexities. That science has not been able to beat that much, in my understanding.
Okay. So when Kate Besk says that you did not update them in the rift, that they didn't till on time, she has a point.
Well, to some extent, but I don't know when she got to receive the advisory. Okay. Yes, but I totally agree that these are off-season rains.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Bring another feedback here, then we see what you're saying here. Cyrus says, hi, Trevor. Please ask the weatherman the status of their forecasting equipments. Are they obsolete? Because in most cases, the forecasts are inaccurate.
Well, like I said, and as Idris affirmed, our forecasts are accurate. Probably it is the understanding. But I agree, when it comes to equipment, we need to increase the density, because in some areas we do not have enough stations. Currently we have slightly over 400 automatic weather stations. We need to increase this.
If you have 400, how many do you need?
Double that amount.
So you need 800?
Yes.
Okay.
Or even more. Then also one challenge, yes,
How much is the budget?
I may not remember the exact amount of the budget.
Okay.
Yes. But also I need to urge with the members of the public, I don't know how to do this, because vandalism of our equipment out there has been a big challenge. Yeah, we set up equipment, an automatic weather station is worth around 5-6 million. Then you find the solar panels have been vandalized, the metallic parts have been vandalized. I would wish the members of the public to take ownership of this, because they exist for their good. Yes.
Okay, let's bring up the feedback here and see what you're saying real quick, and then you take closing remarks. Alan says, what about Kitui? Are there any changes likely to occur mostly in Ukambani? Drought or rain likely to be experienced?
Kitui, like I said, is in the southeastern parts. We expect rainfall, but some parts are more arid than others.
Okay.
Yes, so I may not be able to give the exact for the entire, but the county director of Kitui, he's able to give up to what level, what parts will experience drought and which parts will be good.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's bring up the quick feedback here and then we finish on this conversation. Richard Lemayan in Ngong says the government should take weather forecasting seriously. Good job, Kenya Met, for the weather predictions. Okay. And Ben Kipkoech says the heaviest rain of the season will be experienced on Thursday, 5th of March, starting on Thursday morning at 3 a.m., falling throughout the day till early Friday morning. Heavy flooding rains fall across the entire country. Is that right?
There is somebody who trades by the name, I think, telescopic weather.
Yeah.
I have seen this in social media. That's not from us.
Okay.
And I would request the members of the public to only use products, because we are the authoritative voice as far as weather is concerned.
Okay.
Yes.
Engineer Lazaro says government should take this early warning seriously by readiness the machineries, by reading the machinery ahead of any eventuality. Disasters always I think he wanted to say gets government flat-foot despite early warnings and advisories from the meteorological department. Okay. Sir Nixon says poor coordination between the weatherman and national disaster preparedness agencies is a major factor that transforms predictable climate events into humanitarian crisis, leading to delayed actions, inefficient disaster response, and increased casualties. Okay. Is that the last one? John Musang says here in Eldoret it's raining but no floods, and to the counties experiencing floods, what measures does Kenya Red Cross take to help those affected? I think he had already responded to this. So I'll give you the chance for closing remarks. And heading into the future, what should we prepare for? Murioki, and I'll come to you and then come to Idris and then we close with Waziri.
My closing remarks would be, let's move from crisis response to climate preparedness. That is why we exist. Our forecasts are accurate, they're reliable, they should be used for planning and decision making. The second one is, let's take care of the environment. Let's plant trees, because in this era of climate change, we are likely to see increased incidences of extreme events, more flooding events, more drought events. But whether it will get worse or better depends on how prepared we are. So my plea would be that we be prepared.
Okay.
Let's do what we can. Let's plant trees. Let's nurture them.
Yeah.
Let's grow them.
Okay. So tomorrow you say you're releasing another...
We'll do an update tomorrow.
Advisory.
Yes.
Okay. Idris, are you confident that the supplies won't be delayed as we go into the future?
Look, so as an institution, we have to deal with the reality that right now there's a serious funding issue for humanitarian work generally, globally. So We might not be as prepared as we want to be, but we're putting our best foot forward to ensure that those in need, we reach to them as soon as possible. In particular, I want to, while I have the opportunity, extend a special message of gratitude to the volunteers of the Kenya Red Cross across the country. Trevor, this weekend, volunteers from Nairobi branch spent in water searching for the body of a missing child. The volunteers of Narok spent, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, again, searching for missing bodies. They're taking risks every day to support their communities, and I'm eternally grateful for the work that they continue to do.
Okay.
Asante.
Waziri, closing remarks?
Every day to support their communities, and I'm eternally grateful for the work.
Waziri, we have a bit of a challenge with your sound. Start again for your closing remarks. Waziri?
Trevor, it's to assure Kenyans that the government of President William Ruto is putting on an effort and measures to ensure, as far as the drought is concerned, we have taken serious, tangible actions to save lives, and also to ensure that animals have the feed and the children have the necessary nutrient, as well as the mothers, and to push the cash transfer as much as we can be able as a government. And also to assure Kenyans that the government of President William Ruto is committed to take care of funds. I know it's a big challenge, but we have non-food items or the required goods which can be of use in this time of funds, especially those who will be affected. Finally, is to ask every Kenyan, please take care. Don't pass bridges or roads or rivers in case that the banks of these rivers are broken. Let's take caution.
All right.
Thank you, Trevor.
All right. And Muriuki, I'll bring you back on this in terms of the weather forecasting. We've seen now that there's a possibility, and may their souls rest in peace. We lost a member of parliament, Joanna Ngeno, Mirwa Dekir, and 5 other people because of bad weather. Is that something that we can also talk about as weather forecasting, or do you only focus on rainfall?
Okay, thanks for that.
Because there's poor visibility,
yes.
fog and mist in certain areas.
My sincere condolences to the family of the deceased and the constituents. Yes, our services extend to the aviation sector. No pilot would fly without weather information, both from the airport en route and the expected destination. Bad weather has been known to be one of the causes of air accidents. And yes, this is one area that we also serve. We serve the aviation industry. Okay. Yes.
All right. And Idrissa, finally on this as well, on the issue of Joanna Ngeno, I know some of your teams that tried to access that area and it was a bit difficult. What are some of the things you recommend going forward in terms of disaster and emergency response and reaction, and what should be done in that situation? Because it was in the middle of densely populated forest, the flight was difficult. How do you intervene in such a situation?
So first, the sad coincidence is the late MP had just visited our teams who were supporting the response in Narok, and to show his solidarity as a member of parliament, but also as a friend to the Kenya Red Cross. So for us, it was particularly sad because of the relationship between his travel at that point in time and the work that we are doing. And after the incidents, yes, our teams tried to access. It took a bit of time because of the nature of the geography, the weather, but eventually we reached. So this is the thing with emergency response. The trained RCAT team members or response team members of the Kenya Red Cross or any other agency are not everywhere. we have to invest in ability of communities to support the first response in case of emergencies. And our commitment as an institution, for example, now for 2026-2027, we're investing as much as we can in first aid knowledge in communities, specifically targeting school-going children, so that whenever these incidences happen, then the communities are always the first responders. They have the right knowledge, the right equipment. And in many places, including the informal settlements now, we have a community disaster response teams that we are training, supporting to have the necessary equipment to respond to emergencies when there is need. So a very sad incident, sad for the country, sad for us as an institution, but reminds us every day that we have to be prepared for disasters better.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making time. And of course, our condolences continues to go out to the family and friends of all those who lost their loved ones in that tragic incident. It's just preliminary investigations that are showing that the weather could have played part of it all, but they're taking samples, even including abroad, to find out what exactly happened in that incident. Thank you so much, Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, CS Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs, Dr. Ahmed Idris, Secretary General, Kenya Red Cross Society, and Edward Murioki, Acting Director, Kenya Meteorological Department. Thank you all for making time this evening. And on behalf of everyone who made this possible, we say good night and God bless.
Thank you.